Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
And today we will be playing the 7th part of Bernard's auto-buy RPG, Skies of Arcadia, covering the Yafutoma episode. But before we get started, how is everyone's week?
Oh my gosh. So we didn't record last week because I got a new job, and so I got the job offer. I accepted the job offer, and then I get a call that's like, hey, do you want to come to California for training next week? Because the person that's going to be training you is in California right now. And I was like, what? So they sent me to California for a week, and I got back yesterday, and I'm tired.
Yeah.
So
Good thing only one of us had to cross the country this week. Hey, Trish, what was your week like?
It's gonna be in a couple days. It'll be 2 weeks ago. I moved from the West Coast to the East Coast, and I'm now over in Massachusetts. So far, it's really good. I'm enjoying it. It's very funny because I've heard so many people talking to me about, were warning me about the weather over here, which I definitely understand. Humid heat's very different from dry heat. Sona grew up in California all her life, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't mind. Like, yeah, I wish this place had better. They don't really build houses for ACs here very well, which sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But I can get used to it a lot easier than I could when it's hot in California. It is hot.
Mm-hmm.
And so comparatively, I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's the difference between a quiet debuff, which is this humid heat I'm experiencing, or California when it's really hot, where it's like actively like a poison condition. I take damage every couple of steps.
Mm-hmm.
They're both bad, but one's definitely more manageable. But yeah, I'm living with 2 of my partners, and a partner of one of my partners, and it's definitely a growing experience right now, like trying to settle in and everything, but I'm enjoying it. I'm happy. I'm working on the long process of like, okay, well, I've got my mail routed. I'm working on getting a library card. I got to get a state ID. I gotta get a learner's permit, relearn how to drive because the pandemic ruined that entire project. It's like a stack of things I need to do. Of course, get health insurance. But like, it's manageable and things are working out, and I'm happy.
Nice.
Awesome. I am also very happy because today I did laundry at the laundromat for the last time.
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
Because by this time next week, I will be in my new house that has in-unit laundry and central air, which, like you mentioned, northern people don't understand that air conditioning is important, and so they don't build houses to have room for ductwork. So central air is a luxury. And so I'll have central air, I'll have a dishwasher, I'll have in-unit laundry, I'll have covered parking, I'll have I'll be in a walkable part of the city. The grocery store is literally across like a side street from us, not even across like a highway, like a multi-lane highway. It is just it's right there. It is less than a minute and a half walk to get to the grocery store, and it's gonna be fantastic. And I'm super duper excited. There was something else I was going to bring up about that, but I can't remember. The other cool thing that I've done and that Bernard has also done, and technically the most exciting thing is what Matt has done. If those of you who are listening are not current on Book Club no Kiseki, Matt and his partner Rebecca are expecting, and so his paternity leave is coming up pretty soon, and he also got the super awesome thing of being promoted to like super manager for GameStop. And what that means is he works 60 to 80 hours a week because he has 2 stores now, and it kind of sucks a lot. And GameStop should unionize. But So he's super busy. So our book club no Kaseki is going to be move from being weekly and then we don't get it done every week to
That's putting it mildly.
yes. As you can tell, in the last episode we recorded, I said we're done and we're back on track. We're going to start doing this weekly, and we recorded it in May and released it like 2 weeks ago. So definitely not up to weekly, but we decided to move that to a when it's ready period. And for all of you that subscribe over on the Ko-Fi, me and Bernard are starting a new podcast called Tales of Podcastia, where we're going to play through all of the Tales of games in release order, playing the best version of each of the releases. So we're not playing the Super NES Tales of Fantasia, we're playing the PlayStation Tales
And
of
we're
Fantasia.
definitely not playing the Game Boy Advance Tales of Fantasia.
No matter what, we're not playing the Game Boy Advance Tales of Fantasia. But yeah, we will be recording our first episode of that on Monday, and it's a lot easier to play a Tales game than it is to play a Trails game. So we should hopefully stick to those weekly, and those will be just like Book Club no Kaseki, be a timed release for the Ko-Fi, so you'll get them there a month before everyone else. But because it'll be just me and Bernard talk about our weeks on this podcast, we also are having a special surprise segment that kicks off each episode, and I'm super excited for it because it's stupid and cute. So
it's going to be silly.
It's going to be silly and awesome. So head on over to www.rpgbook.club and you can donate, and any donations will get you able to listen to those episodes a month before everyone else. But
we will be much more likely to be able to put these out consistently because one, it's just me and Sam, and me and Sam don't have anything going on, and it's exponentially easier to schedule for 2 people than it is for 3.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, so far I found that playing a segment of Tales is so much easier than getting through a section of Trails, because Trails, they just talk.
Yeah.
So much.
Forever.
Currently my experience with Trails is limited to, I was playing Trails of Cold Steel. I played a chunk of it. I don't know how much, because I without knowing how long the game is, it's hard to really gauge that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which I did because other Sam, the game professor who's been on this podcast before, a very good friend of mine, absolutely adores Trails of Cold Steel, and so convinced me to play it. And it is a very good game, but like you're saying, like so wordy, so much text, and it does it feels like the kind of media that it's like consuming fine dining, like a full meal. Like you have to prepare yourself, and it's very filling and hard to eat too much of it.
Yes.
So try doing that on a deadline is just not.
I don't
not
envy
fun.
that.
Yeah, and the thing with Trails is it's very much a character drama. If we hyper cut it down to just the things that happen, it's like the cops solved some crimes this week. See you next time. But it's like 5 straight hours of so and so has this development about their mom or whatever, and it's big drama with a capital D most of the time, and so they're much beefier episodes. And Tales is not that, especially not Tales of Fantasia. It is very there was a guy who did a bad thing, and now we have to stop him, and I love that a lot. So head on over and check us out. We will have new episodes probably every week, and if you want to just chill and wait for them, you'll see them in approximately a month. But what you'll see right now, and by see I mean here, is us talk about this portion of Skies of Arcadia. So let's listen to some Skies music and then talk about the plot for the week.
This game continues to be good. I
It
know.
does. Like we mentioned last episode, I think we were a little worried, like, oh, we're going back to the, go to a place, get the gem formula. But they did some interesting things with it this time.
Mhm.
Yeah. So our heroes arrive in Esperanza, which is a depressing rundown town on the edge of Nasir. From it, they can see the Dark Rift, which is an impassable maelstrom standing between them and Yafutoma. They'll need to figure out some way to get past it. So, they dock, and Enrique is airsick, so he decides to stay at the docks where he can vomit in peace. Fina stays with him to make sure he doesn't, die. Vice and Ika head into town to see if they can learn a way to get through the Dark Rift. So they find their way to the tavern and ask a random guy named Don if he knows how to get to Yafutoma. Everyone in the tavern's like, "Get a load of these kids, trying to get past the Dark Rift. What a bunch of jokers." Don insists there's no way to get through, and our heroes will surely die if they try. Everyone here, apparently, came to Esperanza for the dream of reaching Yafutoma and gave up. Vice is like, "Wow, y'all suck just loafing around here since you couldn't get past the rift." He says, "If you lose sight of one dream, replace it with another," which is a good line.
Mhm.
This whole section really reminded me. I'm not sure if either of you has read or seen One Piece, but it really reminded me of the Jaya arc in the sort of right before Skypiea of just, oh, here's just a town full of cynical jerks who will laugh at you for having some kind of lofty dream or want to do something they think is impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, you could make a lot of One Piece Skies of Arcadia comparisons. Anyway, continue.
So Fina runs into the tavern and says the Armada's coming. Oh no! Our heroes reconvene at the docks. Enrique says the flagship leading the fleet belongs to Admiral Gregorio, the best defensive tactician the Valuan Armada has ever seen. A Valuan soldier approaches and hands a message to Enrique. In the message, Gregorio respectfully asks Enrique to surrender and return to Valua, or else the ships will begin firing upon the city at noon tomorrow. Enrique reveals that Gregorio helped raise him and he views him as an uncle. However, Enrique has no plans to return to Valua and is willing to fight Gregorio to do the right thing. Our heroes rest up and ready to fight the Armada the next morning. As they head to the docks, Don stops them and asks what the hell they think they're doing going up against Gregorio. He says he was a Valuan soldier, so he knows these dudes are serious and there's no way they can win. And even if they do win, they're not going to get through the Dark Rift. Vice gives a speech about not giving up and says that their ship is powerful enough that they just might be able to defeat Gregorio and make it through the Dark Rift. Dawn is charmed by Vice's determination and says that there are supposedly calm pockets throughout the Dark Rift, so they might stand a chance if they can navigate through those. Vice thanks Dawn for the advice, and our heroes head back to the Delphinus. We fight 3 battles in a ship, culminating in a battle against Gregorio's flagship. After winning these laboriously long fights, the Delphinus pulls alongside Gregorio's flagship. From their ship's decks, Gregorio and Enrique share a scene where Enrique explains why he betrayed his country, and the scene is great, but it doesn't really tell us anything new, so let's move on.
Mhm.
We also have some good moments during the fight interspersed with the crowd below starting to cheer on the heroes. And it's fun. It's very cinematic.
Yes. The inhabitants of Esperanza have thoroughly enjoyed the show, and watching these dumb kids own the empire has filled them with hope. And Don says he hopes Vice makes it back, and that when he does, he wants to join his crew. So we better remember, after all this adventure, we have to go back and get him.
Yeah, right?
It would be it would be really disappointing for him to never hear from Vice again. Our heroes head into the Dark Rift. After heading through a spooky air tunnel, they emerge into a calm pocket with islands covered in strange plant life and cool music. And it turns out this is a whole dungeon that we play while we're in the ship. And I
It's
think
so
that's neat.
cool.
It
Yeah.
is.
The treasure chests are other ships that have been wrecked, and you salvage stuff from them.
Yes. And one of the shipwrecks in the Dark Rift has an old sailor in it who was stranded there years ago and can't remember anything about his life. We might remember that Polly, the cook we recruited, lost her husband many years ago. If she's in our active crew, she'll barge in and recognize the sailor as her husband, Robinson. They're reunited! Yay! Robinson joins the crew as well.
I missed that.
I did too.
Oh, that's really cool, though.
It is pretty easy to miss. But yeah, you just get a brief scene wrapping up that very minor subplot.
But it's still appreciated. It's a nice touch.
Yes. As the Delphinus nears the edge of the rift, a giant flying monster appears. Oh no! We have a fourth ship battle in which we fight it off. After killing the animal, our heroes emerge from the dark rift. They made it through alive! Yay! However, as they sail around looking for land, a fleet of Yafutoman ships attack. The Delphinus fights them off in a fifth ship battle.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
The Yafutoman ships are fast and able to fly at very high altitudes due to their blue moonstone technology.
Pro tip, torpedoes are the best way to get them.
Yes, I
Um,
think Ica says that at some point.
yeah. So,
Mhm.
fun fact, because I'm a cheaty cheater, and I'm using GameShark codes, for some reason, when it switched out the Little Jack to the Delphinus, the menu still thinks I have the Little Jack, which is incompatible with the current torpedoes that you get. So in between one of these fights, you get the torpedoes and a chance to equip them, and I can't actually do it. So
And that's why
no.
you don't cheat.
that's why you don't cheat. Thankfully, every single fight I can ignore the mechanics. I thought I almost couldn't for a second. I thought I was soft locked, but we'll get there to that one. But I can just whittle them down with my level 99 stats, and my regular cannons take most ships out in 2 or 3 hits. So it's not that big of a deal that I can't have torpedoes, but I do technically still have the Little Jack, which I think is funny.
That's very funny.
That is
Uh,
silly.
At least it's not as punishing on cheaters as Link's Awakening.
So, after our heroes defeat one of the Yafutoman ships, the flagship, which is like 2 ships taped together, approaches and makes to board the Delphinus. Our heroes rush to the deck, where they encounter a pair of martial artist archetype dudes named Zhao and Mao. They say their mission is to collect 1,000 swords, and that our heroes have the choice to throw down their weapons or die. Naturally, our heroes choose to fight. And our heroes kick their asses, and Zhao and Mao are like, you Westerners are stronger than we thought. We must report this to our commander. They leap back onto their weird ship. They say they rule the skies of Yafutoma and are known as Tenko. They say we shall meet again, and sail off. Our heroes keep sailing until they find a city. They dock there, and the locals are surprised by our heroes' strange dress and manners.
We should also mention there's a Great Wall of China sort of thing in the air,
Yes.
which I feel like the three-dimensionality of airship travel sort of makes those a little useless.
I think there was an NPC somewhere that said the point of the wall was for there to be lookouts.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you tap on them and get the discovery, it says, rather than as a form of defense, the walls were said to have been built so that lookouts could spot enemy ships before they got too close to the city they were trying to defend.
Oh, okay then. My objection is rescinded.
But yeah, this place is sort of a mashup of various cultures, as many places in this game are.
Mm-hmm.
So a guard is like, you have invaded Yafutoma. I'll kill you. And our heroes are like, hell yeah, we made it to Yafutoma. Aika has a fantastic animation where she grabs Fina's hands and jumps for joy.
Mm-hmm.
A second guard runs up and tells the first to not kill our heroes, actually. It turns out a Lord Mikado wants to speak with them. Our heroes are led to the palace, where they meet the king, Lord Mikado, and his daughter, Princess Moegi. They're very hospitable, but a worm-tongue named Kangen says he objects to welcoming these Westerners. His son, Miraji, voices his agreement. Mikado's like, "Shut up, worm-tongue." He asks Vice why they came here. Vice explains their mission to find the blue moon crystal, and Mikado's like, you must mean the Maga Sphere. It's a sign of the royal succession, but it's been lost under Mount Kazai since the Cataclysm. Our heroes agree to go find it, and the question of whether they or the Yafutoman royal family will keep it goes unaddressed.
I could hash those details out later.
Yeah. For some reason, rather than sailing the Delphinus to Mount Kazai, our heroes hitch a ride with the local ship parts merchant.
I think they said it specifically. So much of the stuff here, I'm guessing, including that mountain, are at altitudes that their ship can't reach yet.
Oh, yeah.
So the local ships are able to reach those altitudes easily.
I didn't remember anyone saying that about the mountain in particular, but that makes sense.
Yeah, because the whole thing here is the stuff with the blue moonstone means that the magic they have lets them get to altitudes that the regular airships are not able to.
Right.
So if they can get to altitudes that other ships can't get to, that implies that there is a ground somewhere. If altitude is high, how high you are off the ground.
I mean,
I think altitude could be defined less based on a ground and more based on there's a general height most things seem to be in the sky, ocean place.
Yeah,
I mean,
they don't spend any time world building at all, and I am a Brandon Sanderson nerd, and I have to know how the magic works.
I've been wondering if they're going to address what's below the clouds. It's funny how Vice is always like, I want to see what's beyond the horizon, but he never thinks to ask, what's down there?
Yeah, what's a horizon? Yeah, we're also, spoilers for the end of this episode, about to prove that the world is round.
Yeah.
That implies that there's a world.
So yeah. When they arrive at Mount Kazai, there's a giant obvious tunnel leading inside, which is funny because Mikado specifically said no one knows how to get into the mountain. Before entering the tunnel, our heroes note a giant bird-like formation in the side of the mountain. Fina says it's Blueheim, the Blue Gigas. Our heroes are like, sure hope we don't end up having to fight that thing.
That would suck.
A ship battle. Our heroes make their way through the cave dungeon, which has a silly gimmick where you put on a scuba suit and walk through water.
Yeah. Did anyone play this at regular speed? I know we're all simulating it. Is it excruciating? Because it was excruciating at 230% speed, and it
wasn't excruciating for me, but I was benefiting from listening to a podcast while I played.
Okay. Good idea.
And I wasn't on a time crunch.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind necessarily. And I was like, I honestly kind of relished the underwater portions because I was just like, there's no random battles here.
Okay, that's good. I have random battles turned off, so I didn't know if there were any down there or not.
There are
not.
It's a little reprieve.
Yeah. After recording the Mega Man Legends episode a couple weeks ago, I binged all of Mega Man Legends 1 and 2. And in Mega Man Legends 2, there's an underwater portion of the game that moves you at super slow speed. And everything moves at super slow speed, and you still have to do all the fights and stuff. And so that dungeon, just for no reason, takes like 1,000,000 hours. And I then saw it again here and was like, thank God I am cheating and playing in the future and not on the Dreamcast, where the battles were even more frequent.
Yeah, no. The no random battles in the water really helps with that. I would also
Mhm.
say the length of time you spend underwater in each of the things is fairly small.
Mhm.
So it never feels like I'm just in molasses this whole time. Like there's small breaks between the regular portions.
Okay.
With the kind of sole exception of there's that one room right near the start where there's a bunch of like, oh, I'm gonna go jump in the water now. And they all lead to like this big underwater room, and there's like a side area, which is how you get back up. But it can, if you're not sure what you're doing at first, that can take a while to like get through. Um, in general, I think the I don't know, the gimmick of this dungeon is pretty fun.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite dungeons so far.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I think, weirdly enough, because I wouldn't normally say this is a good thing, but because I think the series has better dungeons, but it reminds me a little bit of some of the dungeons I've played so far in Tears of the Kingdom, with
Mhm.
that like, at least the opening bit is very non-linear, very like,
Uh-huh.
well, there's a bunch of switches you got to go hit.
Mhm.
And Sam, you
Uh-huh.
won't realize how annoying this boss is, but at the end we fight a really annoying boss.
Oh,
Oh,
one of the worst bosses in the game.
it was absolutely annoying for me because every time I get into a forced fight or a boss or anything, of which there were quite a few forced fights this week, so I still had to do a lot of fighting, but I win really easy. But normally I just will act first because I have maxed out speed and I will destroy the thing before their mechanics go off, and it's no big deal. But the fucking turtle, it was faster than me, which pisses me off because how the fuck I have maxed out stats, but because it was faster than me, it would put on its I'm immune to everything and waste my whole fucking turn. So as I'm blitzing through trying to be like, okay, this is the boss thing now. I enjoyed all of the puzzles. Let me get through and complete this part for no good reason. It took like an actual 5 to 10 minutes for me instead of
Mm-hmm.
just one turn like I'm used to.
That must
Yeah,
have
and
been so hard for you.
it must have been so hard for you. Me and Bernard over here had to. I'm going to get a guess for us. This boss took 20 to 30 minutes easily.
Yeah.
And the thing is, well, what's funny is it's 100% like it's so luck based. Because the thing
Mhm.
is, you bring up that move because yes, the boss has a move which is just I take no damage this round. In which case, if you spent your SP on those big super moves, too bad it did nothing. I lucked out. He only did that move twice the entire fight. But even if he doesn't do that move, he's still going to be really annoying because one of the other like four things he could do any turn, which he picks at random, is he can heal himself up to full.
Oh
Yep.
god.
Yep.
So it's like you could be doing really good and chipping away at his health, and it's really great. And then all of a sudden he'll just be like, "And I'm back to full," and you're like, "Fuck me, I guess." I will say though, I saw this in the as a tip. I tried this, and again, this fight is so much down to luck. uh not Fina. No, Fina has one of her super moves has a chance to cause paralysis or petrification, I think.
Petrification. I
Yeah,
also
the
tried this. It doesn't work for me.
it didn't work a single time for me, but apparently there is a small chance you can petrify this boss. And if you do, it apparently makes this fight much easier. Yeah, but it didn't happen for either of us. But yeah, one
Hate it.
extremely long and bothersome boss fight later.
Yes. So after that, our heroes claim the Blue Moon Crystal. Vice and Ica do a new version of their secret handshake, which includes Fina and excludes Enrique. Our heroes return the Magasphere to Lord Mikado. He asks how he can repay them, and they're like, "Can we take back that thing we just gave you?" He's like, "Well, seeing as it's a symbol of royal succession, I would like to keep it in my possession, at least while you're in Yafutoma." This prompts Aika to ask Moegi if she's the successor to the throne. Moegi seems troubled by this question, and Mikado changes the subject to a feast in honor of our hero's heroism. Our heroes are like, "Hell yeah, we love feasts." After the feast, Moegi leads our heroes to the royal guest house where they'll stay the night. Miraji, who we totally remember as Wormtongue's son, struts up and thanks our heroes for retrieving the Magasphere. He says he'll take care of it once he and Moegi are married and he assumes the throne. Moegi's like, I will never marry you. As long as Daigo is alive, you'll never be king. Miraji's like, that guy was exiled for treason. He's never gonna be king. Enrique steps in and is like, stop being an asshole. This is not how you treat a lady. Miraji says he'll tell his father on our heroes and runs away. Moegi apologizes for putting Enrique in that position, and he's like, it's no trouble. Where I come from, there is a code for how to treat a lady. And he doffs his fedora and everything.
Okay, so this is like the first scene that I eventually put together. The game was trying to hint towards Enrique and this princess being a thing. I did not get that impression at all. I sensed zero chemistry, and it came off to me as like the gay guy being like, "Oh, you shouldn't be a dick to women." Like, I'm just gonna say now, I did not get any chemistry with these two at all, or at least not on Enrique's side.
So Enrique does ask what Miraji meant when he mentioned an exiled prince. Moegi says it's nothing and excuses herself. Enrique watches her leave, and the game here does communicate that, and even though it feels a little forced, it does communicate it through fantastic animations where Aika wordlessly says Enrique's totally crushing on Moegi to Vice.
It's
It's
fantastic.
very good.
It's one of my memorable moments for the week.
It's really good.
Again, the character animations in this are so fantastic. But I will just note, any actual sign of interest from Enrique seems to only come up in things around her brother, not her. I'm just saying. He was really interested about this exiled prince.
So we cut to Miraji walking along and grumbling about the Westerners. But then he runs into Bellezza? She says she heard everything and that they share a common enemy. Fade to black. The next morning, our heroes are chatting with Mikado when a soldier rushes in and reports that black ships have surrounded the city. Our heroes are like, oh no, it must be the Armada. Let's head to the port. Before they leave, we see Miraji and Wormtongue whispering conspiratorially. Our heroes find the port crawling with value and jerks, led by Bellezza and Vigoro. Bellezza's like, hey handsome, sup, bet you're wondering how we got here. Let me tell you for no reason. We blew a hole in the silver reef west of Ixutaka and traveled west from there. Bellezza insists they have no plans to fight our heroes or burn down Yafutoma or anything. They're just here to speak with Lord Mikado. Vice says Mikado will never strike a deal with them. Bellezza says villain shit and walks past him, followed by Vigoro.
It was awful, but I love Bellezza so much.
Bellezza rules.
Absolutely.
Best villain in this game so far.
Our heroes recognize that with the number of Valuan soldiers there, they can't win a fight, and if they attack Bellezza and Vigoro while they're acting as diplomatic emissaries, they'll lose Mikado's trust. They decide to return to their quarters until they can speak with Mikado themselves. We cut to Bellezza and Vigoro in the throne room. Bellezza threatens Yafutoma if they don't let Valua occupy them, but Mikado's not having it. Bellezza's like, whatever, we can just take Yafutoma. She motions to Wormtongue and Miraji, who motion to the doors, and a bunch of Valuan soldiers burst through. One holds a sword to Mikado's neck. Wormtongue says that in accordance with their meeting last night, the Valuans will take control of Yafutoma. I'm not clear on why Bellezza needed to secure Wormtongue's cooperation if she was just going to storm the palace with her own soldiers. But
my
whatever.
guess is this guy made it so like there was no resistance for them to come in.
Yeah.
I also saw it as a she installs him as governor to
yes,
'cause he already has a line to the throne. It'll be less of a ordeal where it's like, hey, Valua has annexed you into the empire, but your dude is still on the throne or whatever.
Yeah, it seems it makes it seem less like a violent coup and much more like we are assisting this guy in taking the throne.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah,
no.
Anyway, Wormtongue says he's going to rule Yafutoma now that he's sided with the Valuans. Vigoro's like, damn, Bellezza, I'm glad we're on the same side. She says they can't rest as long as Vice is around. And Now, maybe you'll have an explanation for this as well, but I'm not clear on why they didn't arrest our heroes at the port then.
Yeah, no, I don't have an idea. My only guess is it just seems like Belitza just again she seems to actually give a shit about their PR
Yeah.
on some level, and so
Yes.
she's trying to not antagonize them or antagonize the populace as a whole very much, and so she I mean it bites her in the ass, but then part of me is also like, yeah, but I also feel like she's like a weird mix of very competent but also doesn't seem to mind when she fails that much, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And I guess, going to the dock and then immediately starting a big fight wouldn't be the best look if you're trying to actually do things diplomatically, even if the thing you're trying to do diplomatically is occupy the country.
Yeah.
Anyway, Belitza orders the soldiers to take Mikado prisoner and find the air pirates. Moegi rushes to the guest house and tells our heroes what happened. She shows them a secret passage and leads them to some sort of weird flying thing that's definitely not a ship.
And they only ever refer to it with the word ship.
It flies really fucking high using blue moonstone technology. Our heroes are like, what do we do now? Moegi says there's a temple north of here where they'll find her brother Daigo, the true heir to the throne. She explains that he was exiled for being a shitty prince. She thinks that Mikado was too harsh on him, and that Wormtongue and Miraji might have convinced Mikado to exile Daigo, so they would have a chance of taking the throne. Our heroes promise to save Mikado and Yafutoma, then head to the island Moegi mentioned. When they arrive, they find Zhao and Mao, who say this is the headquarters of the Tenko. They're about to attack when the leader of the Tenko steps in and tells them to stop. It's Daigo! Moegi tells Daigo what happened. He's appalled, and says this never would have happened if he had been there. When he was exiled, he welcomed the freedom from his princely duties. But now his people need him. He must reclaim his place as Prince of Yafutoma. Enrique and Daigo get to talking about exiled prince stuff, and Daigo's like, I like you. You should get with my sister. Enrique and Moegi are very uncomfortable, which clearly means that they like each other, and not just that Daigo said something awkward.
Of course.
Anyway, our heroes depart with the Tenko fleet. Tenko scouts report that the Armada is patrolling Mount Kazai, and they've taken the Delphinus, which is at Mount Kazai, so obviously it's not the fact that the ship can't fly high enough yet, now that I think about it, since all these Western ships are at Mount Kazai now. Anyway, the plan is for the Tenko ships to keep the Armada busy while our heroes search for and reclaim the Delphinus. Meanwhile, Wormtongue is at Mount Kazai. A soldier reports on the battle between the Tenko and the Armada. It's about even. Wormtongue ominously says that it's time for them to join the battle too. A Tenko lookout spots the Delphinus. Daigo's ship closes in so our heroes can hop aboard. Vice grabs Fina by the waist sexily and jumps with her.
That part was so great.
Yes. What's even better is that as Aika jumps, she knocks the hesitant Enrique off Daigo's ship and he lands on his face on the deck of the Delphinus.
And she's so smug doing it. I love her.
And, I don't know if we've mentioned this game has little bursts of voice acting. Like, if someone's laughing, we'll hear them laugh. And they'll have like a tiny little voice line here and there. And Enrique screams here, and it's really good.
It's so good.
Oh gosh. Sorry, that I'm like, I should save this for memorable moments, but I don't want to forget it. Keep going. I'll write it down so I don't forget it.
Okay. Our heroes fight their way to the bridge where they find Miraji. They kick his ass. Enrique says Miraji is too pitiful to kill, but he'll pay for his treachery. Aika says a ship is approaching. It has an enormous phallic symbol of a cannon on it. Enrique says it's Vigaro's flagship. Our heroes are happy to kick his ass again. In yet another ship battle.
Yep.
I might add.
Indeed, but listen, it's a fun ship. Okay, I'm gonna say flat out, I enjoy most of the ship battles in this section.
Yeah, me too. There's just so many of them.
There's just
Yeah,
so many. It's true.
So you know how when you're fighting on foot and someone is going to do a special move that's going to take like 45 seconds of your time, so you can just press the start button and it skips it? Those programmers weren't working on the ship battles.
This is true. And that gets at its worst coming up after the ship battle.
Yes.
After our heroes kick Vigoro's ass again, Baletza's like, I want to get my ass kicked again too.
I do really enjoy the characterization of the ship battle here. The fact that Vigoro displays literally no strategy, and so you can just fire off your giant, laser at him almost every single turn because he's making no attempt. You don't have to make any choices. It's just keep hitting him as he keeps hitting you because he has no sense of strategy. He just wants to hit you with his big gun.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good characterization through game design. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before Baletza can engage our heroes, a pillar of blue light erupts from Mount Kazai. Wormtongue has awakened Blueheim. He orders it to destroy the Westerners and the Tenko alike. Blueheim emits winds so powerful the Armada can't hold formation. Baletza orders they retreat. Our heroes decide to try and take out Blueheim with their super badass new ship. With the Delphinus' maneuverability and Moonstone cannon, our heroes manage to defeat Blueheim in another ship battle.
This one, that thing you mentioned about not being able to skip the special moves, the Gigas actually uses, I think, like 2 to 3 every round.
Mm-hmm.
It takes so much time.
That it does.
That said, I do think it's really cool. This is the first Gigas that we just flat out defeat. There's no clever trick to like get away from it or whatever. It's just we blew it up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good sign of showing that, like, hey, this ship we have now, it's badass.
Yeah, and the fact that Valio is apparently going to make more of ships like this,
Bad.
yeah, sort of makes me think that the whole quest to get the Moonstones isn't actually that important.
Yeah.
Because if we don't stop Valua in general, they're still going to be able to destroy everything they want. But they still shouldn't have the Gigas. So Blueheim crashes into Mount Kazai. Daigo's ship apprehends Wormtongue's ship, and they take him prisoner. Back in the throne room, Mikado thanks our heroes and gives them the Magus Sphere. Daigo says he has decided to return to Yafutoma and be a proper prince, and Mikado is glad to have him back. And, by the way, Wormtongue and Miraji have been exiled to Tenko Island. Daigo also gives Vice a scroll containing Blue Moonstone technology, so they can get their ship upgraded to fly really high and really low. Neat! Moegi decides she wants to come with our heroes and help them on their quest. Mikado approves, and Daigo asks Enrique to protect her. Moegi joins the crew as a delegate. Our heroes return to the Delphinus and decide to head back to Crescent Isle so they can get their ship upgraded with Blue Moonstone technology. They decide to try to sail east from Yafutoma rather than head back through the Dark Rift. If what Baletza said was true, the world is round and they'll be able to leave that way. Next week, they'll set sail back for Crescent Isle and adventure.
Yay.
Yay.
So yeah, let's listen to some of that sweet, sweet music we heard this week, and then we'll talk about our memorable moments. Okay, so my memorable moment is I apparently am drinking something different than you two are, because I definitely felt chemistry between Enrique and Moegi from the jump, and I actually really, really liked their arc this week. But I'm
happy
in the minority.
It makes you happy. I'm happy it makes you happy. I have no. It's not like I don't like it. It's just I don't feel it.
Yeah, I did, and
It
I'm
just
weird,
didn't.
I guess.
It didn't particularly strike me because I, from the start, felt chemistry between Enrique and Vice,
Hmm.
Same.
and
Agreed.
that sort of overshadowed any chemistry between Moegi and Enrique.
Yeah. Porque no los dos.
This is true. Vice. I was gonna say Vice has two hands, but at this point he would need three. But Enrique has two hands.
Well, never mind.
Well, yes. What were you
Anyway.
going to say, Sam?
Yes.
No.
I can't even word it properly, but dick, third hand.
Oh dear.
Gosh. Okay. Did you have any other memorable moments?
An animation that we managed to not bring up is Bletza blowing a kiss to Vice as she walks by.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Was fantastic.
I don't know. I really like her as a character, and this part of it is just the animation they give her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's really fun, and I like how, with the exception so far of Doloco, when a admiral is defeated, they don't leave the story.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Doloco hasn't shown up again, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a fun one-time Looney Tunes threat, and we don't need to see him again.
Yes.
I also, when it comes to bringing up animations that we didn't talk about in the actual recap, the bit where after you beat the dungeon, and instead of Vice and Ica doing their usual weird handshake thing for victory, they invite
Mm-hmm.
Fina to do it with them, and she's like, it's like but I don't know what to do. It's like, don't worry, we'll just figure it out, and they just do it, and it works. It's so thrupley.
Mm-hmm.
The polyamorous ratings are off the charts.
Mm-hmm. And Enrique's there too.
And Enrique's just there.
Yeah, there also was a bit like shortly after that, so they had the like, oh hey, like we're all a team, and now we're bringing Fina into it, and the power of three is great, and then it gets back to the throne room, and they're like yeah, the us three best friends that anyone could have are found the thing for you, and everything is great, and the camera pans from the three of them like gathered together to like a 5-foot space, and Enrique just standing there, and it's amazing.
It's very good. Oh gosh. Also memorable moment. This is not something we covered, and that's fine because I think Bernard talked about it last week. But I did finally manage to do that optional boss fight. That was back on Sailor's Island. What makes it memorable is it's so freaking hard, and I got into the RPG death spiral for the first time this entire game. I got to the RPG death spiral, and I was really worried because I was like, I haven't saved in so long, and I didn't know. I'd never died before in this game, so I didn't know what happened, and I was like, I don't want to have to lose 2 hours of progress or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Until I died and find out, oh, it just says, do you want to go back to the beginning of this fight?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. And then it was fine. But
yeah,
whew, that's a really a difficult boss, but in an interesting way, not in a bullshit way like that turtle.
Yeah, I really like how, in a lot of JRPGs, there will be a bunch of optional bosses, but they're like all super hard bosses for the end of the game. I really like how in this game, like the main bosses in the story, they're not like easy, but they're not particularly extremely hard. But at the end of every arc in the game, there is at least one super hard optional boss battle. So the game can keep up a pace of being challenging the whole time if you want that challenge.
Yeah, and doing it this way is kind of like insane that nobody else does it, because the worst thing that always happens where they put the super hard boss battles at the end of the game is like, okay, well now I defeated them and I got a reward that will help me face the final boss, who's not nearly as hard as the optional boss. But this way it's like you can actually be rewarded for going out of your way and doing the hard things, and it's like the perfect solution to this problem.
The only other thing I had really as a memorable moment is I really enjoyed the environmental designs of the different areas we visit. Yafutoma was really fun to explore and like find a bunch of fun little secret items and stuff like that. But also because they've added in the crew what's the word? Mechanic. It's like, oh, there are also people you can find to recruit to your crew, and that's really fun. And then the only other very small thing is, in addition to my feeling like Enrique had more vibes with the prince and the princess, there's a person you can talk. There's two people you can talk to actually, a person and her sister, who will both talk about how she's like, this girl's like just always like thinking about the princess and like worrying about her stuff, and I'm like, which then just makes me look at the princess and Enrique and go, beard, best friend beards.
Yes. I also, so I'm not as learned on Japanese to Chinese racism as I want to be. And I couldn't tell if this was, hey, we're going to point at things that are also true about Japanese people, and we're laughing at like Asian cultures in general, or if this was like in the Japanese would have been racist towards Chinese, and then in the localization it kind of was everything. But like they come out and they're like, oh, why is your hair not black, sort of thing, and they talk about the chopsticks being so weird and things like that a lot of times, and like those are also things that are true about Japan. So I don't know enough. And the way that this game was written, where they basically did a machine translation and then just had fun with it and created their own characterizations and jokes and stuff, makes it really hard to see the Japanese through the trees to know what the original was and stuff. So I don't know if this is cute or problematic, but assuming it's cute, I thought it was cute.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also definitely not in a space where I can really talk about that in a way that is not I'm a white girl, but but from what I know and from what I've seen, it seemed to me it was much more self poking fun at rather than Chinese racism mostly. Specifically in that kind of vein, I noticed, I'm fairly sure, and I could be wrong, and I hope I'm not, but it seemed like the villains, the treacherous advisor characters, their faces were both designed in the. It seemed like they were references to uh, there's a Japanese equivalent to the commedia dell'arte. That idea of like these archetypical characters that have very specific looks to them, and they have exact like personalities that fit into many different stories. And it seemed like those were very much like characters out of that sort of thing, like they were that archetype in that situation. Which is why they had a very odd distinctive look, like with that like I don't know, almost like an Osamu Tezuka style kind of illustration of like the weird nose.
Speaking of those characters, I feel like I've done the bit of referring to a Wormtongue archetype just as Wormtongue before on this podcast, but I can't remember when I would have done that.
I mean,
Sam,
they were very Wormtongue-like.
Do you remember me doing that before?
I don't remember you doing it before, but it also felt right. It's kind of like when me and Maddie swear we looked up bullpen experience points and we think that we didn't come up with it, but the only people that we can ever find talking about it is me and Maddie, so maybe we accidentally coined it. So it could be one of those things.
It's a good term.
It is a good term. That's why I don't think I came up with it. But so it could be something where it feels right, but we might not have actually said it before. Any other memorable moments?
I'm excited to get back to Crescent Isle and see it all. I assume it'll be all built up with buildings and be a proper base now. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah, I'm I am excited that I get to explore the skies in multiple directions and not have to do random battles constantly while I do so. So I get to look forward to a lot of things next week.
Also,
I'm a cheater.
I want to say, unless there's something else rattling around in my brain that I haven't conjured yet, there is like exactly one thing I remember about the rest of the plot of this game, and it's been real hard not to spoil it for y'all.
I
I'm
don't know
excited.
what it is, and I'm excited as well. This game is very fun. I was trying to think of like a good like metaphor for it, and I really like the best I could think of was like it's just a expertly made cake, and you could complain that it's just sweet and there's no balance to the flavors, and that like this is just indulgent dessert. But like it's expertly made dessert. Look at the frosting and how like all the details are perfect. Like
Mhm.
the ratio on the ingredients is absolutely stellar. Like this is delicious junk food.
Yeah, it's like this game is not all the way just vanilla ice cream, but assuming that it is just vanilla ice cream, it's like Bluebell's homemade country style vanilla ice cream, and not just the fucking soft serve at a Dairy Queen or something. Like it is the best of the go around on an adventure sort of RPG.
I would agree. Yeah. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you for finally getting me to play this game.
Yeah.
I am happy to get people to play this game, and I'm so happy that it didn't turn out that it's not good.
Yeah.
Because I haven't played it since I was a kid.
I know that's the horrible eternal fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was horrified that Maddie and Eli wouldn't like Legend of Dragoon because I'm a weirdo, and my favorite game that I haven't played since 2001 probably isn't actually that good. But turns out it's great, and they loved it. So it's on Eli's like only 5 out of the 20 games that he played for the podcast he enjoyed. So
Oh wow.
yeah.
Gosh, I really need to play Legends of Dragoon sometime.
You do.
Yeah, me too.
If you like
it would
characters,
make him oh, go ahead.
I
if
do
you
like
like
characters.
if you like characters just hanging out, Legend of
do.
Dragoon is so inside jokes that are before either of you existed is we always say that the game stopping you in the middle and being like, would you like to save in the middle of a cutscene? That's a Luna, because in Sailor Moon, it's in media res, Luna the cat walks from off screen and addresses the camera and asks if you would like to save your game. And so that has become a parlance for RPG Book Club. Another one of them is it's a Legend of Dragoon boat scene whenever you have a scene where your party splits up, but they're all in the same room and you just go to go talk to them. And
I mean, that's also a Final Fantasy VII boat scene.
I love those scenes though. Those are great.
Yeah.
I love getting to do little individual talking to.
That happens on a boat
my
in Final
buddies.
Fantasy VII.
Yes,
It also happens. It happens in a camping scene in Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, it happens like 48
in
times in Legend of Dragoons. So
Okay.
it's a consistent storytelling mechanism that Legend of Dragoon uses.
Also happens on airboats a lot in Trails.
Yes.
In a move that is almost tactically designed to piss him off, other Sam the game professor, almost all of my knowledge of Legends of Dragoon comes from watching his very spoilery analysis of it.
Yeah.
Which I love doing that to games he cares about because it causes him pain, and as his best friend, I enjoy that.
Yeah. It's a phenomenal video, and unfortunately was so good I couldn't help but reference it constantly in our episodes. Our episodes aren't as good as they could be, but yeah, that game rules. Just like Skies of Arcadia, which is the game that we're actually talking about.
Yes, yes, it is. And next time Earth is round, maybe we'll dig into the secret spoiler that Bernard has been keeping from us.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll fly low enough to find out that there's like water underneath us or something.
What if we're on Earth?
What if this whole story turns out to be a creation myth for human Earth?
No,
That would be
JRPGs don't do that.
wild.
That would be
This isn't
silly.
This isn't Battlestar Galactica.
Anywho, yeah, that'll do it for the week. If you like what you heard, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where you can donate to help us pay for hosting costs and game costs and things like that. Shout outs to basically all of our supporters this week. I ran the budget numbers, and we were like in the black by 18 or in the red by like 18 bucks, and I said so on the Discord, and then a lot of people stepped up, and now we're in the black again. So shout outs
Yay.
to all of you supporters. You're the best. Our supporters can donate monthly into one of 3 tiers. You also can do one-off donations if you want to. You can also commission JRPG Canon episodes to make us review your favorite RPG, etc. But the 3 tiers that we have is if you pay $1 or more a month, you can get access to our Book Club no Kaseki episodes a month before everyone else, and also vote on our polls whenever they go live to say what game we're playing next on the main podcast. Then we have the Warrior tier, which is for everyone who pays $5 or more a month, and this will get their name shouted out at the end of every episode, just like this. Shoutouts to Dragon Slayer 19, Cerebral Wind, Floris, Kaeldron, Freddy Rodriguez, Aaron 524, Jfro Prime, and Doho. And then finally, we have the Luminary tier, which is for everyone who loves us so much that they pay $20 or more a month, and they'll also get a 1-sentence shout out to make me say whatever they want. So shout out to L. Tantivy, who wants you to check out critical-distance.com, an aggregator for games criticism and journalism. Shout outs to William Taylor, who wants you to check out rpgamer.com, a game review website by people like us, for people like us. And shout outs to our new luminary, Vimk, who, as an aside, said that their username is intended to be pronounced as one syllable, but also is VIMK is very hard to say as one syllable, so they gave me explicit permission to continue saying it as 2. So shout outs to Vimk, who says to play Legend of Legaia, which is that other PS1 RPG that starts with the Legend of, that people confuse with Legend of Dragoon. And then finally, shout outs to Carr, who is a dentist, so his shout out is not for his Twitch stream, but for your own mouth, and he says to brush your teeth twice a day, most importantly, the time right before you go to bed. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye.